All right, so we are on the top of page 4, and we're going to talk about one last topic in this section. On page 1 of these notes, we focused on composition of two functions. And what that basically is, what we did on page 1 is we plugged one function in to another function. That's basically what composing two functions is about. Now on page 4, we're basically going to do the opposite of that. So instead of starting with two functions and plugging one into the other, we're going to start with one function and figure out how it could be composed by using two functions and coming up with two functions that we could do that with. So decomposing a function. So say we are given a function and we'll call it h of x. Our goal is to then find two functions, which we'll call f of x and g of x, for which h of x equals f of g of x. So for example, let h of x equal the square root of 8x plus 3. Find a function f of x and a function g of x such that h of x equals f composed with g. So this time we have to find out what these two functions are going to be. They're not given to us. We have to kind of do the whole puzzle in reverse. And I'm going to start by looking here actually, and I'm going to rewrite the composition like we've been doing, like f of g of x. So if you look at that, which function is supposed to be on the inside? Well, if we write it this way, then g of x is supposed to be the inside function. And identifying that is going to help us come up with these two functions. So now go back to this h of x over here. And what expression looks like it could be on the inside of what we have going on here? So to me, it looks like we could have this 8x plus 3 be considered the inside part of this overall function. So let's just give that a try. Let's try 8x plus 3 for g of x, because that's supposed to be our inside function, and 8x plus 3 looks like it's on the inside. And then we would have to go from there and work our way outward and ask ourselves, well, if that's the inside function, and we're plugging this inside function in somewhere to make it look overall like this, like the square root of 8x plus 3, what does our outside function have to be? Well, we got the inside, the 8x plus 3, but we don't have the square root part. So let's put that there and then put x inside. And that should work, because if we took this 8x plus 3 and plugged it in right there for x, it is going to give us this original function. So basically we do already know that that is going to work, but let's just check it over here, right here. So if we think that this is our solution, then we're going to write this or rewrite it like that, and then work from the inside out. So replace g of x with what we think it is, which is 8x plus 3, equals, and what this part's telling us to do is we take the 8x plus 3 and plug it into the f function, which we think is this. So we're going to take 8x plus 3 and put it in right there, and we will get the square root of 8x plus 3, which is what we wanted. That is equal to the original h of x that the question wanted us to work with. All right, so this part over here, this is basically checking our answer. but the actual answer itself is right here. We came up with two functions, an f of x function and a g of x function, such that when we plug the g of x function in to the f of x function, when we compose them together like that, it does give us the original h of x function that we started with. And for some of these, there can be multiple answers that work. You just have to find a different part of the original function that could be considered the inside part. So I'm just going to put another possible solution. So if we look at this original function here, the square root of 8x plus 3, what else could we use as our inside function other than 8x plus 3? Well, another part that's basically in the inside is this 8x. And then we can worry about the plus 3 later. So if I put 8x here, what function would we write for f of x so that when we plug 8x into that function, it would give us the square root of 8x plus 3? One way to easily come up with your outside function, if you've already selected your inside function, is you just go back to the original function and replace this part, the 8x, with just an x. So if we did that, we'd get the square root of x plus 3. And this would also work because if we take the 8x and we plug it in right there, it's going to give us that original h of x function that we started with. So if there are ever two possible solutions, either one is fine. Let's do another one just like that. So here is our starting function this time. D of x equals 1 over 2x minus 3 quantity squared. And we want to find a function p of x, and we want to find a function q of x, such that d of x is equal to the composition of p of x and q of x. So just like last time, I am going to rewrite this p of q of x, because that tells me that the q of x is what I want my inside function to be. So start with our inside function. So look at this d of x. What part of this expression here could we use as our inside function? Let's just go with this 2x minus 3 and see what happens. 2x minus 3. And that will be our inside function. So we need to come up with our outside function for p of x. But like I just mentioned a couple minutes ago, one way to do that, once you already have selected your inside function, you just write what's here, except you replace this part of it, the 2x minus 3, with an x. So we're going to have 1 over x squared. That's our solution. And let's go check it. P of q of x, work from the inside out. So we said that our inside q of x function was going to be 2x minus 3. And then at this point, this is telling us to plug the 2x minus 3 into our p function. So we plug 2x minus 3 in right there, and we would get 1 over parentheses 2x minus 3 quantity squared, which is, of course, our d of x function that was in the original question. So again, doing this part over here was just checking our answer. And if we try to come up with another solution, I can actually see two other possible solutions that we could come up with. Q of x equals q of x equals. So I am going to use 2x minus 3 squared as my inside function this time. So to come up with my outside function, p of x, I just rewrite this, but I'm going to replace the 2x minus 3 quantity squared. I'm going to replace that denominator with x. And we can check that one as well, but I will tell you that it's going to come up correct. And you try to come up with one more. And start with your inside function. So generally in this class, you won't really be able to come up with more than like maybe 3 solutions or 2, at least none that are very obvious, all right? But this one, there is one more that seems pretty obvious to me, so just give it a try and see what you come up with.
All right, so that will conclude the Math 124 note outline for section 2.3.